Part 1. The Unsettling Premonition. It was a Tuesday, the kind of ordinary day that bleeds into the next, offering little in the way of distinction. But for Sarah, the day carried an undercurrent of unease, a premonition as cold and persistent as the autumn wind that whipped through her small town. The sky was a bruised canvas, mirroring the turmoil within her. Sarah was an artist, her soul finding solace in the vibrant strokes of color. But lately, her paintings had taken a darker turn, filled with shadows and desolate landscapes. She attributed it to the changing seasons, the world shedding its vibrant hues for the somber palette of winter. However, a deep-seated fear gnawed at her, whispering that something sinister lurked beneath the surface of her creativity. Her studio, a haven of inspiration, had become a prison of shadows. Every creak and groan of the old house amplified her anxiety. She was certain she wasn't alone. Shadows seemed to dance in the corners of her vision, taking on grotesque shapes when the lights flickered. And then there were the whispers, soft and ethereal, carried on the wind that seemed to seep through the cracks in her old house. One evening, as the first stars began to twinkle, Sarah was working on a particularly disturbing piece. A monstrous figure emerged from the canvas, its form indistinct, yet undeniably menacing. A cold sweat broke out on her brow as she realized she wasn't painting it. The creature was painting through her. Terror seized her as she felt an unseen force pulling her into the canvas, a vortex of darkness threatening to consume her. Part 2. The Shadow's Embrace. As days turned into nights, Sarah's descent into madness deepened. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They carried names, ancient and forgotten, and a chilling narrative of a malevolent entity trapped in a timeless prison. The entity, it seemed, had found a conduit in Sarah, a desperate attempt to break free from its ethereal confinement. Sleep became a luxury she could no longer afford. Her eyes burned with exhaustion, but the fear of closing them was greater. In the darkest hours, she would see it. A shadowy figure lurking at the foot of her bed, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly intensity. It was as if the creature was studying her, preparing for something sinister. The house began to change. Objects moved on their own accord, doors creaked open of their own volition, and an icy draft swept through the rooms, no matter how tightly the windows were shut. Sarah was convinced the house was alive, a malevolent entity feeding on her fear. One night, as a particularly violent storm raged outside, the house seemed to come alive. Furniture crashed, windows shattered, and a guttural growl echoed through the halls. Terror-stricken, Sarah huddled in a corner, her body trembling uncontrollably. Then a blood-curdling scream pierced the night, a sound that seemed to originate from deep within the house. Part 3. The Unveiling. When morning came, Sarah emerged from her hiding place, her mind a whirlwind of confusion and terror. The house was a wreck, but there was no sign of forced entry. The only explanation was the unthinkable. The evil within the house had manifested in a terrifying way. Determined to confront her fear, Sarah armed herself with a flashlight and ventured into the depths of the house. The air was thick with an unseen presence, and the shadows seemed to writhe and contort. As she descended into the basement, a cold dread washed over her. At the end of the corridor, a door stood ajar, emitting an eerie glow. With trembling hands, Sarah pushed the door open. The basement was filled with a thick fog, and the air carried the unmistakable scent of decay. As her eyes adjusted to the dim light, she saw it, a colossal, shadowy figure chained to the wall. Its eyes, burning with an infernal rage, met hers. A surge of power coursed through Sarah, a counterforce to the darkness. She raised her hand, and a blinding light erupted from her palm, illuminating the basement. The creature shrieked in agony, its form flickering and fading. With a final desperate effort, it lunged at Sarah, but she was ready. As the creature enveloped her, Sarah closed her eyes, accepting her fate. But instead of darkness, she felt a surge of energy, a cleansing light that enveloped her. When she opened her eyes, the basement was empty, the air clear and fresh. The evil had been vanquished, and Sarah was free. Exhausted but triumphant, Sarah emerged from the basement, the first rays of dawn casting long shadows across the floor. The house was silent, the air filled with a sense of peace. As she stepped outside, she took a deep breath of fresh air, the world reborn with the new day. The ordeal had changed her, but it had also strengthened her. She was no longer a victim, but a survivor, a warrior who had conquered the unseen evil. Part 4. The Aftermath. The morning after the confrontation, Sarah awoke to a world transformed. The house, once a vessel of darkness, was bathed in sunlight, the air carrying a sense of peace and renewal. The remnants of the previous night's terror were still evident. Broken furniture, shattered glass, but they seemed almost inconsequential. A newfound strength surged through her veins, a resilience forged in the crucible of fear. She began to clean the house, a cathartic process that helped to exorcise the lingering shadows of the ordeal. As she worked, she discovered strange symbols etched into the walls, hidden beneath layers of paint. They were ancient, their meaning lost to time, but Sarah felt a connection to them, as if they were a key to understanding the evil that had plagued her home. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah found herself drawn to the local historical society. She spent countless hours poring over old newspapers, dusty books, and faded photographs. Her research led her to a chilling discovery, a series of unexplained disappearances in the town, dating back to the 19th century. All the victims had shared a common trait, a strong connection to the arts. A pattern emerged. The disappearances coincided with periods of heightened artistic activity in the town. It was as if a dark force, feeding on creativity, was luring its victims into the shadows. Sarah realized that her own brush with evil was part of a much larger, ancient cycle. Driven by a sense of purpose, Sarah became a guardian of the town, a protector against the unseen evil. She established an art studio, a place where creativity could flourish without fear. She taught others to harness their artistic powers, to use them as a weapon against darkness. Word of Sarah's courage spread, drawing people from far and wide to seek her guidance. She became a symbol of hope, a beacon in the night for those who dared to tread the path of creativity. The town, once shrouded in fear, was reborn, its artistic spirit thriving. Yet, Sarah knew that the battle was far from over. The evil she had confronted was ancient, its roots deep in the fabric of time. It would return, seeking new victims, new conduits for its darkness. But Sarah was ready. Armed with knowledge, strength, and the unwavering support of her community, she stood as a sentinel, guarding the boundary between light and shadow. Her story became a legend, whispered in hushed tones around campfires, a cautionary tale for those who dared to delve too deep into the unknown. But it was also a story of hope, of the human spirit's indomitable will to prevail against the forces of darkness. And so, Sarah lived, her life a tapestry woven with threads of art, courage, and resilience. She was a survivor, a protector, a beacon of light in a world often shrouded in shadow. Her story was a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a proof that even in the face of the unseen, hope can prevail. Part 5. The legacy years passed, and Sarah became an elder in the community. Her hair, once a vibrant auburn, was now streaked with silver, a testament to the passage of time. Yet her eyes held the same intensity, the same unwavering determination that had saved her all those years ago. The town had flourished under her guidance. The once quiet village was now a thriving artistic hub, a place where creativity and courage were celebrated. A new generation of artists emerged, inspired by Sarah's story, their work imbued with a sense of hope and resilience. But the darkness was not vanquished. It lay dormant, waiting for an opportunity to resurface. Sarah knew this. She had seen the shadows flicker in the eyes of some of the young artists, a hint of obsession, a hint of a hunger that went beyond mere creativity. She established a secret society, a coven of sorts, composed of those she trusted, people with a deep connection to the artistic world. They were her eyes and ears, her sentinels against the encroaching darkness. They learned to recognize the signs, the subtle changes in behavior that marked the beginning of an artist's descent. One evening, as a full moon cast an ethereal glow over the town, Sarah felt a disturbance. It was a familiar sensation, a cold dread that seeped into her bones. She gathered her coven, their faces etched with concern. Something was wrong. They discovered a young painter consumed by a dark obsession. His work was filled with disturbing imagery, a descent into a world of shadows and despair. Sarah recognized the signs, and it was happening again. With a heavy heart, Sarah knew she had to confront the darkness once more. This time, however, she would not be alone. The coven stood beside her, their strength and courage a shield against the impending storm. As the confrontation unfolded, the old house, once the epicenter of evil, became the battleground. The air crackled with energy. The shadows danced in an eerie ballet. The young artist, a pawn in a sinister game, fought against the darkness, consuming him. In the end, the light prevailed. The artist was saved, the darkness banished, but at a great cost. Many of Sarah's coven were injured, their spirits scarred. She herself felt a profound weariness, a sense of age beyond her years. Yet as she watched the first rays of dawn paint the sky, a flicker of hope ignited within her. The battle was never truly over, but neither was the human spirit. As long as there were those willing to stand against the darkness, to protect the light of creativity, hope would endure. Sarah's legacy lived on. She was more than a survivor, more than a protector. She was a symbol, a testament to the indomitable human spirit, a guardian of the light in a world forever touched by shadow.